The lymphatic system is part of the circulatory system, comprising a network of conduits called lymphatic vessels that carry a clear fluid called lymph, which is from the Latin lympha, or meaning water goddess, directly towards the heart. The lymphatic system was first described in the 17th century independently by Olaus Rudbeck and Thomas Bartholin. The lymph system is not a closed system, rather it is part of the circulatory system, which processes an average of 20 liters of blood per day through capillary filtration, therefore removing plasma while leaving the blood cells. Roughly 17 liters of the filtered plasma actually get reabsorbed directly into the blood vessels, while the remaining 3 liters are left behind in the interstitial fluid. The primary function of the lymph system is to provide an accessory route for these excess 3 liters per day to get returned to the blood. Lymph is essentially recycled blood plasma. The lymphatic organs play an important part in the immune system, having a considerable overlap with the lymphoid system. Lymphoid tissue is found in many organs, particularly the lymph nodes, and in the lymphoid follicles associated with the digestive system, such as the tonsils. Lymphoid tissues contain lymphocytes, but they also contain other types of cells for support. The system also includes all the structures dedicated to the circulation and production of lymphocytes, the primary cellular component of lymph, which includes the spleen, thymus, bone marrow, and the lymphoid tissue associated with the digestive system. The blood does not really come in contact with the lymphatic system itself and the tissues. But constituents of the blood first exit the macrovascular exchange blood vessels to become interstitial fluid, which comes into contact with the parenchymal cells of the body. Lymph is the fluid that is formed when interstitial fluid enters the initial lymphatic vessels of the lymphatic system. The lymph is then moved along the lymphatic vessel network by either intrinsic contractions of the lymphatic passages or by extrinsic compression of the lymphatic vessels via external tissue forces, e.g. the contractions of skeletal muscles. The organization of lymph nodes and drainage follows the organization of the body into external and internal regions. Therefore, the lymphatic drainage of the head, limb, and body cavities, walls, and other areas of the body follows an external route, and the lymphatic drainage of the thorax, abdomen, and pelvic cavities follows an internal route. Eventually, the lymph vessels empty into the lymphatic ducts, which drain into one of the 2 subclavian veins near the junction of the subclavian veins with the internal jugular veins. Now, the lymphatic system, in its most basic components, has a multiple of interrelated functions. It is responsible for the removal of interstitial fluid from tissues. It absorbs and transports fatty acids and fats as cholesterol from the digestive system. It transports white blood cells to and from the lymph nodes into the bones, and lymph transports antigen-presenting cells, or APCs, such as dendritic cells, to the lymph nodes where an immune response is stimulated. Now, the lymph nodes, which are kind of the primary bases of the lymphatic system, are basically masses of lymph tissue, where several lymph vessels bring lymph to and from the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes are broken into 3 different parts. The outer part of the lymph and has lymphoid follicles is the cortex, which contains not only the lymphoid follicles, but the inner portion called medulla, which is surrounded by the cortex on all sides except for a portion known as the hilum. The hilum presents as a depression on the surface of the lymph node, which makes the otherwise spherical or ovoid lymph node bean-shaped. The arteries and veins supplying the lymph node with blood enter and exit through the hilum. So in a way, the lymphatic system kind of goes with and kind of overlaps the circulatory system's vein and artery network. Now, lymph follicles are a dense collection of lymphocytes, the number, size, and configurations of which change in accordance with the functional state of the lymph node. For example, the follicles expand significantly upon encountering a foreign antigen, which, B cells will then, in the immune response, counteract and begin the process of the immune system's response. Lymph nodes are particularly numerous in the mediastinum of the chest, neck, pelvis, and axilla, which is the armpit, inguinal, groin region. and in association with the blood vessels of the intestines. Now, the functions of the fatty acid transport system is brought in part by lymph vessels called lacteals, which are present in the gastrointestinal tract, predominantly in the small intestine. While most other nutrients absorbed by the small intestines are passed on to the portal venous system to drain via the portal vein into the liver for processing, fats or lipids are passed on to the lymphatic system to be transported to the blood circulation via the thoracic duct. There are exceptions, for example, medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs, or fatty acid esters of glycerol that passively diffuse from the GI tract to the portal system. Now, the enriched lymph originating in the lymphatics of the small intestines is called chyle. The nutrients that are released to the circulatory system are processed by the liver, having passed through the systemic circulation. Well, I hope you guys understood that, because I did not. I am never doing the lymphatic system again for any science project. Ever.